want to thank all of you for being here. As a woman, these are very personal moments. And to come here on camera in front of everyone, to be out there and do these things, it's important. It takes courage. It's not without risk. And I appreciate it. And for everyone who helped put this together besides Senator Murray as well. And next week would have been the 51st anniversary of Roe versus Wade decision, which protected a woman's right, of course, to make her own health care decisions. But sadly, almost 2 years ago, the U.S. Supreme Court took away that right and opened the floodgates of anti-choice attacks on reproductive freedoms. As a result, we've all heard the gut-wrenching stories. We're hearing yours today. But what about the little girls who were raped and couldn't get an abortion? Of women who were miscarrying but couldn't access the care they needed? And of doctors being sued or prosecuted simply for doing their job and providing life-saving care. And we know anti-choice extreme politicians will not stop until they've passed a nationwide abortion ban, which would even ban abortion in pro-choice states like my state of Nevada. And that's why I've been fighting here in the Senate to defend women's rights to make their own medical decisions free from interference of politicians. I helped introduce the Freedom to Travel for Healthcare Act to protect a woman's right to travel across state lines and get the reproductive care they need, this critical care, this life-saving care. And that's what I'm going to ask all of you about today. I have 3 questions, Madam Chair. So, traveling for abortion, we'll start there. Dr. Floyd, Nevada's seen many women come to our state for abortion care because it's banned in their home states. These women face financial hardship and are stripped of their support system, like you spoke about, by having to travel out of state. So, Dr. Floyd, can you speak to us about the burden women face when they have to travel away from home, and why we need to proactively protect a woman's right to travel?
Yes, I think I'm going to answer that question with an illustration of another story. I took care of a patient several months ago who was a patient actually living in Louisiana. And this patient was a patient who was experiencing homelessness in Louisiana and somehow was able to navigate connecting with an abortion fund and with individuals who could assist her with the logistics of being able to get here to D.C. To get the abortion that she needed. So the patient got here, I saw her, took care of her. When I was finished with her procedure, she gave me a big hug with tears in her eyes and said, "I cannot thank you enough for being here. Thank you so much for doing this for me. I am in a situation right now where I don't have a place to live. And the thought of me bringing a child into this world and going back to that situation is unimaginable. So thank you." And this patient, right after thanking me, went on to say, "You know what, I'm really excited because I actually get to stay in a hotel. Like, they put me in a hotel last night and I get to stay in a hotel tonight, and they told me I can get room service. Because after I get on that plane to go back to Louisiana, I'm going back to being without a home. This is what it looks like. This is what it looks like."
Thank you for your kindness and for caring and for being there. I'm going to move on to Dr. Denard, and we're going to continue on this topic. And so as a physician and as a patient in Texas, I don't have to tell anybody here, Texas has some of the strictest abortion restrictions in the country. And as someone who's had to travel out of state for care, we just heard about what happened in Louisiana, but what would have happened to you? And there's others like you, if there'd been a nationwide abortion ban in place.
I would have been forced to remain pregnant and deliver a baby that was either had already passed away in my womb or would have suffocated in my arms. That would have been the only choice for me. And as long as I was on Texas soil, that was the only choice. It really does feel like pregnancy in Texas, women don't own the pregnancy. The state owns the pregnancy.
I'm so sorry for what you've gone through, and I know you've seen it as a physician, sorry for what you've gone through personally, and I do really appreciate you coming out to protect the women who maybe can't speak for themselves. So thank you. I have one last question about prosecuting doctors, and this is for you, Ms. Valenti. Can you speak to the impact of abortion bans, restrictions, the impact, we have two doctors here, I know they can probably talk about it too, the impact they have on doctors, specifically OBGYNs, where they feel comfortable practicing. And what are these restrictions doing either to drive people away from the specialty, drive people away for certain locations, and how does that affect women's just women's health care in general for all of us, whatever state you're in? Can you speak to that? I know you've been working on those things.
You know, we spoke a little bit about the exodus of OBGYNs out of anti-choice states, and I think that is one of the biggest issues that I'm concerned about. But for the OBGYNs and the maternal fetal medicine specialists and any doctor who might need to perform an abortion, for those that stay in anti-choice states, they are quite literally taking their freedom in their hands, every decision that they make with a patient, and that is no way to practice medicine. We've seen the impact of that in terms of delays, fears if you perform an abortion, if you give a certain kind of care, that you could be prosecuted. And we're not just talking about the prosecution of doctors too, and I know we all know that, but I just want to mention it as well. You mentioned miscarriage treatment and the way that some women haven't been able to get it, it's been delayed. We're not just in a situation right now where someone is going to be afraid that they can't get treatment for their miscarriage, but that they might be arrested if they do. We just saw a case in Ohio, Brittany Watts, a woman who was denied care, denied a miscarriage treatment at a religious institution, went home to have her miscarriage, and then was arrested for abuse of a corpse.
Right.
And that's the future I think that we can expect to see for all Americans if a national ban was to pass. It's not just about doctors going to jail, it's about anyone going to jail who has any sort of role in abortion whatsoever. And I think that we should all be terrified. This is something that is obviously disproportionately impacting doctors, but also patients and anyone who cares about this issue.
And even a healthy pregnancy, deliveries can be fraught with danger. So if we don't have qualified medical professionals everywhere to help with what are hopefully uneventful pregnancies and healthy deliveries, this is still going to impact the limiting of OBGYNs wherever they are, whatever state they are, because they're fearful, is going to eliminate care in all circumstances. Would you agree with that too?
Yes, I think
Going to put us all at risk.
It puts us all at risk. I think doctors are rightfully fearful, and I think patients are rightfully fearful. You know, after a case like Brittany Watts, how many people won't go get that miscarriage treatment, right? How many people will just decide, you know what, I may be bleeding a lot, but I'm not going to go to the hospital because I don't know what's going to happen there. And so it really is a nightmare situation for everyone who's involved. And I think what's so troubling to me as someone who, covers this issue from a, journalistic and political lens is to watch Republicans call themselves the party of family values while trying to prevent people from leaving their home states for care, trying to pass travel bans, and calling them trafficking laws, and incentivizing, as they do in Texas, incentivizing families turning each other in, right? So that you're too afraid to even tell a family member about the care that you may need to get out of state. I profiled a young woman in Texas, 21 years old. Her fetus did not develop at all above the neck. There was no head. This fetus was not going to survive. She had to go to New Mexico for care, and she did not tell one single person. It was just her and her boyfriend, 21 years old. And when they made the call to the New Mexico clinic, he said, it felt as if I was robbing a bank. That's how bad and scary it felt to him to make this call. And they were too terrified to tell anyone. And so the isolation of that just continues to strike me every day.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Appreciate you